my channel. Today I wanted to give you guys a quick review and first impressions of the new tan palette from Natasha Denona. So this is the Tan Bronze and Glow palette. It retails for $55 and it is absolutely beautiful. I do some up close images later on the video, also some swatches and also some comparisons to some of the other bronzers that I have in my collection, and we get into all of that later on in the video. So you can order it from Sephora. They are now carrying it at the Beautylish website, Sephora, and Natasha Denona. Now I don't really recommend ordering it from Natasha Denona unless you want to wait for it. Sephora and Beautylish, you're going to get it pretty quick. So, you know, if it's something that you guys want to get pretty quickly, I recommend ordering it from there. Let me get into the descriptions about this palette. It is a bronze and glow palette with shades of alluring bronze, creamy tan, and incandescent champagne. So this product is cruelty-free. The cream glow base is a hydrating, luminous cream highlighter to give skin the ultimate lit from within radiant glow. The Super Glow is a super soft highlighting powder that gives the skin an intense ethereal glass-like glow. This lightweight formula contains high levels of crushed and milled chroma crystals mixed with crushed pearls. The blush and bronze powder is a powder with a smooth, velvety texture that melts into skin for seamless shaping, effortless blending, and maximum comfort. The Glow Impact powder is a multi-dimensional metallic highlighting powder with a soft focus, HD finish, and a velvety smooth texture. I did not put any blush on today. All I put on was this entire palette. I'm wearing it on my eyes, I'm wearing it on my lips. This entire palette is all over my face. You guys know that I recently reviewed the Bloom Blush and Glow palette, and I still love this palette. This palette is highly raved about. Everybody seems to really enjoy this. It has fantastic reviews on the Sephora website, and it's still one of my favorite blush palettes. I don't use it a lot on camera, only because I've been buying so many new blushes. Bottom line is I've bought way too many blushes. So I haven't been using it a lot on camera, but I have used it off camera. I have a lot to say about this palette. So without further ado, let's jump right into the tutorial part of the video. I'm going to show you guys how I apply it, how I play with it, how it applies, how it blends. Is it effortless? We'll see. So then after that, I'll come back and do some swatches, some comparisons, and then I will give you guys my full final thoughts on the palette. So I will see you guys in my final thoughts. Okay, you guys, so I was not planning on filming today, but I seriously thought this palette was coming in on Monday, and I was a little bit nervous about it because I'm not exactly sure if I can film Monday, Tuesday, or even Wednesday because my son is graduating on Tuesday. So my life's going to be a little bit crazy next week, and I thought, oh my gosh, I really wish I was going to get this Natasha Denona palette before Monday, and voila, Sephora delivered it. Shout out to Sephora for being on top of the orders because I got this bad boy very quickly. This is what it looks like. It kind of has the same like mirrored effect as the Bloom, which I still really love the Bloom palette. For those of you who are curious about my opinion about the Bloom palette, and if I still love it, I still love this palette. I do. So I'm kind of curious about this one. I did watch her Instagram stories. She applied it on 3 different models with 3 different skin tones. So this is a glow cream base. This shade right here is a Super Glow. This shade right here is blush and bronze powder. And then this right here is a Glow Impact powder. So I think I'm just going to kind of lightly tap into this because I don't really exactly know how pigmented it is. So I'm going to tap into it. I've got some right here, and it looks like it's pretty pigmented. So I'm going to tap a little bit off the back of my hand and kind of just start working this in. And I'm just kind of doing like these soft, like circular motions, and then to kind of blend and buff any of those spots out, I'm kind of like doing this. Now I didn't put any powder on and I didn't put any contour on. The only thing I have on right now is foundation and concealer and my brows done. That's it. I went in and like got it directly right there. And so I was trying to blend that out and I was really able to. Like I was kind of impressed with that. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So the first time I tapped it off the back of my hand, that's from me tapping it. So I went like that. So I didn't do that the second time and I went directly in and I was like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. But it actually buffs out really, really easy. So I am not mad at that. Like it buffs out really nice. Now, normally when I have strong bronzer like that, I'll just go over it with my powder brush to kind of soften things up, which I will. But so far that's freaking beautiful on the skin. And like I said, I was able to really tap it. I'm curious how it's going to look over my hyperpigmentation. As you guys seen in yesterday's video, which was the Huda Beauty contour deal. Oh my gosh, my contour, like sometimes I can nail it, you guys, and there's other times that I don't. And it's my fault. It's not the product's fault because it does it with everything I use. But it's really hard to put bronzer and contour over my hyperpigmentation. But I don't want to go in too heavy with foundation over it because if I do that, it gets into my hairline and it starts looking gunky. And so it's kind of like, it's like trying to find the happy medium on truthfully how to apply it the best. But I think this looks really pretty. And I think the thing that I like about it the most is that if you do get heavy-handed with this product, you can buff it out. So now I'm going to go on the other side. I'm gonna go in with my sponge and just kind of like work that out and kind of calm it down a little bit. But I love the color of this. Like I'm struggling putting it on my forehead and it's just because of me. And you can see it's attaching here and it attaches here. And that's because of my issue. And I do have ridges in my forehead. I don't have like a super smooth forehead. I do have like a weird bone structure where my bones kind of like go in and out and they're a little bit wavy. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I'm sure you can. But once I put a bunch of bronzer on the forehead, that's when it really comes out. So I'm just going to go ahead and take some soft powder and just kind of tone down some of that up top. You know what I appreciated about it is that I'm able to tone that down. Next, she went into this shade right here and she used a sponge. I'm just gonna like follow along with her preferred way of applying this. She started applying it right here on the high points of the cheek and then she kind of worked it into the bronzer. I'm gonna go into this top shade right here, which is a cream shade. And I'm just gonna press this on the high points of my face. Is it coming off? This sponge isn't picking it up. Maybe I'll go in with this. Okay, now this one might be picking it up. So this just kind of gives you like a subtle glow. It's not overly pigmented. And then you can kind of take and drag it across the face, like across the bronzer that you applied, which I think that's the reason why she kept it so more sheer-like. Because she's got other highlighters in here that you can build on top to make it more intense. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Look how beautiful that is. It's very light though, you guys. So I'm gonna take and put my finger in here and kind of go like this. I'm trying to see what brush of mine would be best to apply this. So I'm kind of like doing it on my arm before I go in on my face. So I'm going to use this brush. This is the Cheek Pro from Sonia G. And I'm going to go into the Super Glow. This one right here. It's got more of like a bronzy tone to it. And I'm going to pick some up here on the brush and then just kind of lightly dust it over the cream. That's kind of the way that she applied that. But it's a very soft highlighter, but it kind of amplifies the cream that you placed down. Look at that. Can you see that shine? And it's a very subtle, natural shine. So then she goes into this shade right here, and this is kind of supposed to give you that glass-like look. She says it has a high concentration of crystallized pearls, and it's a new formula to her brand. Holy shitskis, that's pretty, you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. If you guys like that beautiful glass-like skin, it's so pretty. Wow, that is a beautiful highlighter. Gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. I am going to just take a brush like this. This is from the Sonia G Pro Eye Set. This is the Blender Pro. And I'm going to go into that bronzy shade, this one right here. And I'm actually really glad that this is a powder and not a cream. You know, like in the blush palette, that dominant shade that you use and build is in a cream form, and this is in a powder. And I really appreciate that it's in a powder form. And oh my gosh, I think I'm going to love this palette, you guys. I'm just kind of working with it just to see if I can use this as eyeshadow. Like, this works better than all of the bronzers that I have, because my favorite thing to do is to throw my bronzer on my eyelid. But the problem is, when you're using a bronzer, you really have to build it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, you have to work hard to build it, but with this, you don't. Like, you just throw it on and it's like there. It's so pigmented that, I mean, it goes right on, as you can see. I think I'm just gonna put it all over the lid. I'm gonna go in to this shade first, and I'm gonna pop that right below the brow. Okay, just to kind of give a little bit of that something something. And then I'm gonna go into the Glow Impact Powder, this one right here, and pop that right over. Ooh, kind of reminds me of the Emraze. Of course, I'm going to be doing some swatches, but it kind of has that same type of formula, and I love it. So I'm gonna put that on the inner corner. Now I'm doing this dry, you guys. This is all dry. None of this is wet. So I'm sure if it was wet, we would get more of an impact. I'm gonna put it on the brush and then spray it. And let's see what it will look like wet. Oh, she is pretty. I think I just wanna leave it there. Like, I don't wanna put any on the lid. I kinda just like this like bronzy moment. So this bronzer has a little bit of kick up. So just know that. It does have some kick up to it. I went ahead and threw on some mascara, and I wanted to let you guys know what LIPPIE I'm wearing, because I kind of wore it with the palette. So I went ahead and grabbed my KKW Beauty Nude No. 2 lip liner. As you guys know, I love KKW Beauty's lip liners. They're some of my absolute favorites, and I have a ton of them. And I actually just bought more of her new releases. I also have several of her lipsticks. So I was thinking about that because I just bought some of the new shades that she released. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys are interested in seeing a dedicated video, maybe like a 10-minute video, kind of swatching some of the lip liners that I have from her collection and the lipsticks, in case you guys are interested, because I have them from the pink, the nude, the peach, and some of the new ones in her collection. So let me know if you guys want to see that. But I went ahead and put on that lip liner, and then I threw this on from Dose of Colors, and this is the collaborated lipstick with Desi and Katy, and this is in the shade Aftermath. And I really thought that this shade matches this bronzer in this palette, so it kind of has the same tone. So I went ahead and let me show you guys what that looks like. So this is what that lipstick looks like, and I thought it would kind of match the same tone as the bronzer. So I put that on as a base, and I kind of mixed the lip liner and this together. I mixed between these two and melted them both into the lip, and then I popped this right here in the center of the lip. So I really loved using this palette. You guys know that that's one of my favorite things to do, is whatever eyeshadow I've used on my eyelid or whatever, I love to kind of pop it right on the center of my lip. And this is no different than using eyeshadow. I really, really love the way that this looks. And the thing that I also like about a lipstick like this is it's gonna last me for several hours. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the swatches and some comparisons to some of the other bronzers that I have in my collection. Then I'm gonna give you guys my final thoughts. Okay, so as you can see, this right here is the cream formula, and that one is the first shade in the palette. It's called a Glow Cream Base, and it kind of has a little bit of a purple undertone, as you guys can see. So it's a bronzy purple undertone, which I really, really love the way that she created that shade. This shade right here is not a cream, so it's a creamy slash powdery highlighter. So I would not call this like a creamy formula. It has some creaminess to it, but it's not as creamy as this shade. Then this, of course, is the bronzer. That is the Blush and Bronze powder. And then this right here is the Glow Impact powder. And I just want you guys to see just how impactful this is. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch it next to the M Rose. So I would say that those are very similar. Like if I turn my arm to the side, those shades in my opinion are almost identical. So if you have the M Rose, then you'll know exactly how this looks and how it applies on the face. It's very impactful. It does give that wet glass-like look. Okay, so here are some swatches of comparisons to other bronzers that I have. So this shade right here is the one from Natasha Denona, okay? This shade right here is from Fenty Beauty. A friend of mine has reached out and taught me how to say it. I'm still working on how to say it. But this is the Fenty bronzer in this shade right here. And that is what that shade looks like. This shade right here is from Hourglass. That is the Ambient Bronze Light. So this one kind of has the same undertone, but the one from Hourglass has that shimmer effect that the one from Natasha doesn't. This one right here is the Marc Jacobs Tantastic bronzer. And then this one down here is the Laguna bronzer from NARS. So as you can see, the one from Natasha Denona is darker than all of these. But the thing that I like about this one from Natasha Denona is that it's very buildable. And so you don't have to go in heavy-handed and get this depth. Like you can go in very lightly and build it. Okay, so these swatches right here are from this little palette. So this is the Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow palette. This is what it looks like. So for those of you, I think these are like $19. I just did a video talking about these and the other two that she's launched. So this one right here is from this palette. And then this bronzer shade is from this palette. There's really not a lot of differences between these two. The one from the tan palette, that one is just a little bit deeper, but not a lot, you guys. Really not a lot. And then this shade right here is the cream from Natasha Denona. So that's the only cream shade in the palette. This right here is the highlighter from this smaller palette. So I wanted to show you guys what this highlighter from this palette looks like next to these shades right here from the bigger palette. So this is the cream shade from the bigger palette. This shade right here is this shade in the palette, okay? This shade right here is this one. So just so that you guys can see that those look very, very similar, but different at the same time. But let's go ahead and swatch this one next to this one. So I'm gonna go and grab this shade right here. And let's swatch it next to that really bright one from the palette. So as you can see, the different tones in that. So they're similar but different. And then the last comparison I wanted to show you guys is this one. So this shade right here is from this palette, this Cheerleaders Mini Bronze Squad. So it's the traditional Hoola bronzer from Benefit. In case some of you guys have this palette, I wanted to swatch that bronzer. So it's very similar to this one from Natasha Denona. The one from Natasha Denona, I would say, is creamier when applied. That's probably, in my opinion, the differences. So even though they're swatching somewhat similar, they apply probably pretty different on the face, because this one from Benefit applies like a traditional bronzer, but this one, I don't know that I have a bronzer that applies quite like that one from Natasha Denona. But I just wanted to show you guys that shade comparison next to the one from Benefit. So let me get into my final thoughts about this tan palette. I really love this. I love it so much that I almost want to say that I like it more than this, which I thought was crazy, just because, I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about this. I really love this palette, but the shade that I don't use in here is this one. So this one kind of goes to waste for me and my skin tone. It's not that I don't like the shade, but I just don't really have a need for it. The highlighter is a little bit too dark for me. Because it kind of has that pinky undertone, it's just a little bit too dark for my skin. But in this palette, for me personally, I feel like I can use every shade in here. Like every shade I will use on my face. And so I really appreciate when there's a palette like this, and especially for the price, because this is super expensive. You know, it's not that I'm letting this go to waste. You know, I mean, sometimes I just pop it on my eye because it is a shimmer. I can totally pop it on the eye, and I absolutely love this palette. Now, I still don't love the bronzer on my forehead, which is the reason why I don't go in heavy with bronzer on my forehead, because as you can see, I have this ridge. Do you guys see it when I turn my head? I have a lot of divots and dents in my forehead, and I had a skull fracture years ago, and so ever since then, I have them up here as well. Like you can see there's a little shadow and a line right there. So I have to be exceptionally careful when I'm applying a lot of products like that on my forehead, contours, bronzers, and stuff like that. And I'm starting to kind of learn, but I still botch it like every single time I do it. So, you know, it's just a learning process to kind of try to figure out how to not have it look funky over those ridges and not attach to the hyperpigmentation. So I have two strikes against me when it comes to my forehead, and which is the reason why I wore bangs for a long time, because it just kind of eliminated it. But you know, I will say though, I love the way that this looks on my face. I love the way this looks on my cheeks. It looks so healthy, and you can kind of customize the look and apply these any way that you want. Now, let me briefly discuss this compared to this, because I think some of you might ask, well, if I bought this little one, do I really need this one? And I'm gonna be completely 100% honest with you guys. If you bought this, and let's just say that you have the Emrazy highlighter, I don't necessarily think that you need this big palette. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like within these three palettes, you can pretty much do exactly the same thing as what you get from the tan palette. The only thing that you won't be able to do is you won't be able to have a cream product like this. It's not like necessary to make this palette beautiful. So even though I think it's a nice addition, I kind of feel like, in my opinion, the shade that stands out the most within this is the bronzer. The way that the bronzer applies on the skin is heavenly, and it buffs so easily. Is just perfect for those of you that wear a lot of powders on your face, for those of you that don't wear any powders. I really like this palette. I am so in love with it. I mean, on a scale from 1 to 5, I'm giving it a 5. I really am. My review is based on a reviewing standpoint. For those of you out there who are interested in buying this and you're curious how it looks, how it performs, how it applies, how it swatches, what the shades are, that's kind of what I'm here for. You guys have to decide what you want to spend your money on, and you know, I just know that if this is something that you guys are interested in and you want to buy it, and you have budgeted for it, and you've looked through your products and you're like, okay, I could use another bronzer, and you want to make the splurge, you will not be disappointed, because this is a beautiful palette. I really do love this palette. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. Today's creator shout out goes to Megan Elise. She and I did a collaboration probably like 2 months ago, and I wanted to shout her out one more time. As you guys know, I'm gonna start doing a creator shout out in every video to bring some positivity to the beauty community. And Megan Elise just started her channel just a few short months ago, and I really love her channel. She plays a lot in makeup, and she buys quite a few products from each collection. And head over to her channel and show her some love and let her know that you are a part of my family. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys in my next video. Love you. Bye.